bracket number 1. Since 2014, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has done this survey, the survey of consumer expectations. They did it again. Everybody was surveyed in February of this year, 2022. And we're going to go over the key findings from this 2022 survey. So these are households. These are your consumers, the people that every agent broker is going after right now or is servicing as a part of
But this is for the future. This
work.
is what they think for the next
This
year.
is for the future. Yeah. All right, so let's go over some of these key findings. All right, let's jump into it. Home prices and rents. The average home price change expectations at the 1-year horizon rose sharply relative to last year. So last year, in February, this survey found that consumers, or households rather, thought that home prices would go up 5.7%. That was basically in line with a lot of predictions from economists. We know that it went up over 20% and it totally exploded. This year, households feel like prices will go up 7%. Okay, so they were way off last year, as was most people predicting home prices. And this year they're predicting 7%, which is in line with like Fannie and Freddie Mac are right there between 7 and 7.9%. Household home price change expectations for the 5-year horizon, though, Nicole, are not that bullish. So households expect prices to rise by 2.2% per year on average for the next 5 years. So if they're saying 7% increase this year, they're really only counting a 1 to 2% increase over the following 4 years after this year in home prices. So households are not very bullish on long-term home price growth. Obviously, we've seen such huge growth over the last 2 years that we don't believe is sustainable. I think everybody would agree with that. Rent expectations were higher than home price expectations over both timeframes. So this year, they believe it's going to go up 11.5% compared to the 6.6% that they predicted last year. And over the next 5 years, households expect annual rent increases of 5.2%, which is up 4.4% from a year ago. Taken together, these numbers suggest a spike in rents in the near term. We're seeing that everywhere. And there's a lot of people that are just staying in their rent right now because they're looking at they can't buy a house because of the inventory and all of this. And then they're looking at, wow, rents have really exploded in my market. I'm just getting a slight increase because I've been a good tenant. They know me. I'm going to stay put where I am. Housing outlook. Okay, so this I think is, to your point, but when we were looking at this topic before the show, Nicole, I think it's a little bit more valuable of an insight when we look at their real feeling about the market.
Those last numbers, I feel like they were just pulling some numbers out of the sky, you know?
Well, yeah, they pulled 5.7 out last year and it was, over 20%. So,
yeah.
But the housing outlook of what actions homeowners and households would take if this happens, then what? That's definitely more insightful because they're saying what they would do put in a specific situation. So attitudes towards housing as a financial investment remain strongly positive. 71% of households, of all respondents, rather, characterized that buying property in their zip code was very good or somewhat good, slightly down. Last year, it was 73.6%.
Not much.
Not much of a decrease. So everybody feels like, okay, not everybody, 3 out of 4 people, that's a good investment. The share of respondents reporting that household is bad or somewhat bad rose to almost 10%, which was 6.5% last year. If you go on TikTok, you'd think that it's 100% people think crash, bubble, total housing crisis. But we know that is mostly due to inventory.
Well, but this is also, this is specific to their zip code, too.
Their zip code.
Their zip code. So they could potentially just not be in an ideal location that they think is a good investment. So
True.
Yeah.
All right. So the average expected probability of buying a home if the household were to move within the next 3 years. So if you were to move, if your clients were to move in the next 3 years, only 60% of them expected that they would buy another house. Last year, it was almost 70% when polled in February of 21. So almost down a full
10%.
10%. It's about
Mhm.
8% drop in
Yep.
2021 from to today. If your clients were to move, only 60% of them, just over 60, would actually buy again. So a lot of people are like, okay, if I were to move in the next 3 years, I'm going to go look for a rent. I'm going to cash out and go look for a rent.
I mean, and and I'm actually curious to see who is seeing that in real life. I've already seen it. Individuals that have moved here from New York, they bought last year. They now are moving back because their job is requiring them to move back, but they are not buying this time. They are renting. But I think they also know that the competition is so steep where they know that they just need to grab a rent. So
Grab a rent for 12 months, see what happens.
see what happens, see what they can do. At least then they can in this situation, they have children, so get the kids settled, get them into a school. They're in the town that they wanna be in, grab what you can.
Because of rent prices, this also holds people back from selling, which is why this inventory issue just keeps compounding month over
Potentially, but
month.
they just made almost $200,000 in a year. So
Yeah, I like
so for
that.
them, it's just, a couple extra bucks a month at this point. Yeah.
Couple extra dollars.
Couple
Renters
extra dollars.
reported a sharp decline in their probability of owning a home in the future. So if you've been renting this whole time and if you've been looking the last couple of years, maybe you've missed out on a bunch of offers. Those renters' attitude towards buying a house has dropped 51.6% in 2021 to now 43.3% this year. So they're not very bullish on their outlook of buying a home in the future.
Nope.
And a lot of them, if they're getting locked into 12 months rent, maybe, you know, I would still market as an agent to renters and certainly showing them, we've talked about the Redfin data center,
Yeah.
that it's still cheaper to own a house. And then I'm also going to be educating them on the
Yeah.
wealth in this country is disproportionately on homeowners, real estate owners, as opposed to renters.
Did you see that meme on I saw it on Instagram. They were sort of putting to talking about interest rates and how, even like with interest rates being at 6% or 5% or whatever number they decide to pull out for this one, renters are paying 100%. So
Right.
even that's sort of like an interesting like slap in the face too, and it's like put in that, you like memes. So like
I love memes.
you
I'm
love
in the,
memes.
well,
You're in the meme
I'm
business.
not in the meme business. Don't say that. That is not true.
But again, I
Uh,
mean, that again, and that certainly shows the truth of it too. Now you're paying, your interest rate is 100%, not just down here in the
yeah, you are.
fours.
You're
Yeah.
paying all interest. There's
Mhm.
times to rent, and when you need to be flexible, like you're talking about your clients from New York, right?
Yeah.
12 months, if they're going to go find a deal, they're going to be looking in those 12 months. That's the best time to buy a house. Like when you have a rental, you get something in maybe month 7, you do a little
Yeah.
bit of updating, do some stuff, get your stuff moved over. There's no rush, there's no heartache. Not a lot of people can afford to do that, obviously.
Yeah. Well,
So that's
and
not the
it's
norm
funny though,
for
because
everybody.
we just put their house on the market. Not that it's about we're talking about them, but I mean, we just put their house on the market and they've been renting this house in New York. Like they saw it, they snagged it. They've been now over. So that it's actually the reverse for them, where they're now slowly able to relocate to New York and get themselves readjusted there with like banks and schools. And so again, the same thing could happen certainly on the other side. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Here's the big one, Nicole.
yeah.
Households have a belief that mortgage interest rates are going to go up to 6.7% this year. And in the next 3 years, households believe it's going to go to 8.2%. If households really believe that, they're not going to be spending a lot of money on new real estate. And they're also not going to be selling their 3% interest home that they own. They're going to stay put. My little Cold War of real estate that I talked about, if this comes true, that happens. People will freeze in their low interest rates. I don't believe we're going to see 8.2% in the next 3 years. But if the New York Fed is reporting through their 2022 survey of consumer expectations that a lot of people believe we're going to 8.2%, that's crazy. It hasn't happened since 2000 where we've had 8%. That will hurt your real estate market. Those headlines, crisis, bubble, all of this kind of stuff, those might start to have some validation if we hit over 8% in 3 years. I don't want to say the world's coming to an end, but that'll
No,
that'll
well,
that'll hurt.
it would certainly slow the world down.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if you're an agent, you're going to be in a very different market at that time, solving much different problems if we get up over 8%.
Well, you get like a hard maybe a hard money lender would be cheaper,
I don't know, because hard money's going to follow the rate, but you may
potentially.
someone
I
that
don't know
trusts you, like
if I
we
was a
would
hard
get
money
cheaper money than that.
I'll get you yeah, I mean, I would offer out yeah, I'll get you cheaper money than 8. I mean, then you're just like
If our hard money
charge
lenders is listening,
charge a few points and then like, dude, you got like an in. I mean, you could then start your yeah, I mean, that would be where I would that's where I mean, maybe we need to start saving our pennies, Byron. We could be hard money lenders in 3 years.
well, we could certainly there'd be some interest from people sitting on a lot of money to say, "Hey, we've got a lot of these clients. Can we help certain types of clients in certain situations with hard money?" But the thing about hard money is you're usually using it for a period of time and then refinance into a lower rate. I don't know. 8.2. I haven't seen a lot of experts predict that. Again, this is households.
I
Their
know.
feeling is
They also thought that their
8.2%,
house was only gonna be worth more like 4% last year. So, I mean,
5.7
they are
last year.
clearly not the expert, but
No, and this is everybody's, speculating here. So this is a survey of speculation. And again, I think for us, what we really wanted to focus in on for agents and for team leaders and brokerages is the one thing. If people move, almost over 8% of them are more likely to rent on their next. So are you solving the problem for people who are like, okay, I'll sell or I'll move, but I'd rather rent now? Only
mhm.
60% of people, if they sell in the next 3 years, would rather buy. So are you solving both problems? What's a racket in here, Nicole? To me, I think 8.2% in the next 3 years' time on a mortgage rate would be a
Mhm.
racket. That's a household prediction, but I don't think
Mhm.
we're going to see that.
And are you asking me for my racket?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, the whole thing is a racket. This whole
Oh,
article is a
jeez. This
racket.
is wow.
Again,
That
I think the only good the most helpful part in here is obviously, the attitude that homeowners have towards the market. I think that's something that you as an agent should be speaking to. Like you said, you should be educating them and helping them through that feeling. But all the other numbers and twos and fives and eights, I mean, that's all just a racket.
That's throwing
Total
numbers against the
racket.
wall. Hey guys, appreciate you checking out this episode of The Real Word. If you want the full episode, go over to the Broke Agent YouTube. That's where we're hosting the full podcast. If you want to continue to see the segments broken out and the short clips, stay right here on The Real Word YouTube.